Welcome back to UnpaidMovieCritics.com. I am Mike, who is also doing his movie phone voice for no particular reason. I am Mike from MikeTheFanboy.com, and I'm here with author, therapist, blessed angelic soul, the woman who says, if Jesus were on this earth walking with me, he would grab my hand and we would skip gaily through the underbrush. Miss Becky Fixel from
wow.
99er.com.
Oh, thank you for that, Michael. So we've already had a discussion about how things are going off the recording.
Yeah.
What is new in Los Angeles event-wise?
Well, okay, so now what it's really kind of interesting actually when you start looking at seasons. So like LA has no seasons except for FYC.
Right.
And so now the Oscars are over, and we'll get to that in 2 seconds.
Which I don't want to talk too much about one incident because it's annoying.
Ad nauseum. I'm actually more impressed with my picks than how successful I was. But let's go. Just talk right there. But so now we're moving into TV FYC.
Okay.
It's funny because I got an email today saying, okay, the Oscar race for 2023 is on, and they were like listing movies that are already.
What are they predicting for 2023 already?
There's a Steven Spielberg movie, there's a Martin Scorsese movie, and there's a couple other things that they're already kind of like.
Because I honestly have not seen anything that I'd be like, oh yes, this deserves an award.
No, they probably won't pop until mid. This is all the dregs of films, so
okay.
Nothing will probably hit until later. But they're already saying, "Oh, this is coming," because Scorsese and Spielberg have 2 new movies coming out, and they always get some kind of talk about like Irishman and fucking West Side Story, and so they're already. It was funny. I was like, I don't even know if I can read this. And then now TV FYC has already been hitting. I have an event Saturday for Emily in Paris that I'm going to. I have an event on Monday.
Emily in Paris?
Yeah, I know.
I like that. I love it. It's so cheesy. It's so stupid, but I love it.
So we're doing that, and then I have one on Monday for the Amanda Seyfried show called The Dropout, which I love. Have you seen it?
I did.
It's really good. I hate that woman with a fiery passion. But Amanda Seyfried, I think this is the best performance of her career. And she was nominated for an Oscar for something. I forgot what it was. Was it Les Mis? I don't remember why she was nominated.
It might have been Les Mis. It wasn't Mamma Mia, that's for sure.
It was. It should be for Mean Girls because she's so good at it.
I love that movie too. Now, The Dropout, I mean, for her, the interesting thing is she was able to play the young role all the way up. They could dress her and she could play both, college age all the way up.
Yeah.
And that one, and even that Inventing Anna, I have to think that has to hurt your voice at some point.
At some point.
When you're talking in this weird voice,
right.
On the same kind of field, what is the Hulu one, The Girl from Plainville?
That one? I haven't seen that yet. With that's Elle Fanning.
Yes, and it's good, but it is nowhere near, like, we've seen her in The Great and how good she is as Queen Catherine the Great.
Oh, good in The Great.
I love that. So when I see The Girl from Plainville, I'm just like, I know you're better than this. And at the same time, this is also a story I didn't think needed to be told in an 8-part series or whatever the hell it was.
Right. Interesting. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Now that we're talking about The Great, and I just had a brief. I always am wondering about revisionist history.
Okay.
In terms of TV and movies, like The Great is very much about revisionist history, and they're very open about it being
kind of like The Tudors.
Yeah.
Or Reign. Yeah.
And I know they're colorblind casting. I'm still very torn about it in certain senses. I think it's great, but like it really is like, okay, you have an African American in Russia at the same level, hierarchy level.
So it's kind of like Bridgerton, where they have Queen Charlotte as a Black woman, which there are some scholarly things saying that she had some African history and heritage. So that one doesn't feel as off. I think And I kind of get what you're trying to get at and not say at the same time, the revisionist history.
It really is though. But what's interesting to me is, are people really going to think it was like that? And that's my question. You know what I mean?
Or is it, was it like that? Or is it we've been told so long it wasn't? Because there were Black people all over the world.
It is interesting. I don't know. I mean, they're very open about, the creators are open about that show, and I just don't want someone to think, because we become a visual society with
Yeah.
Instagram and all of this. Especially Instagram, I think really changed that. It's a picture of you having fun, so you are happy constantly, 24/7.
Right.
Then people are like, "Wow, that person killed themselves," and we're shocked.
But on the
Because
other hand, you have TikTok, which kind of reveals that people aren't happy all the time. And it's the side of TikTok I'm on, at least, is more realistic people, and talking about political issues and things like that. But
yeah,
I mean, on the same token, we have like the new Anne Boleyn show coming up, and there's a Black actress playing Anne Boleyn. Now, historically, we know she was a white woman.
right.
Is it, I don't have a problem with it. I think it'll be an interesting take, but there will be plenty of people that will have a problem with it because that is not historically accurate, which
Right.
I understand. But and I think when it comes to like a realistic person like Anne Boleyn, that may become a problem. But then when it comes to like some random court member of Catherine the Great's court, I'm sure there may have been Black people there.
And it's possible. I just wonder.
We just don't know.
I just want to make sure, like even when we look at Quentin Tarantino's films, right?
Yeah.
Time in Hollywood, how he changes things, and all of a sudden they come up with a giant, what was that, giant gun or something, and he offs the Manson people.
Yeah.
And I kind of annoys me because I'm like, I want to know about the real story, because to me that's more interesting, and it also is educational at the same time.
But
It
is the real story that, like, if you do the research and you like, I've read a lot of historical stuff about like the Tudor period and stuff like that. It's one of those super dorky things that I like. I like the royalist and all of that, but are those books actually accurate? Because those people, unless it was written at the time, those people are reflecting back. Are they adjusting things? Just like,
right,
the King James version of the Bible is because he edited the Bible.
right.
So, or had people edit it and add things in that he wanted in the Bible, which just
It's
that
100% true.
sentence.
Yeah,
So, it's this weird kind of thing that I question, while I get what you're questioning, I also question, how do we know that that is not accurate? Unless we know, like, exact person that we know Anne Boleyn was a white woman.
mhm.
And unless it's a major player, how do we know?
Right. Well, the reality is, like, okay, going to Christianity, Jesus always depicted as, you know,
A
he's,
white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man.
yeah, and in reality,
He's
he's
most
probably
definitely not.
dark complected, probably more Middle Eastern in complexion. I mean, like, let's just be real. We know where he's from.
Right.
Like, let's get real. So and I want it to be historically. I like things a little more historically accurate, because I like that. No, we're
Right.
like, hey, there are other stories to tell here that maybe aren't just like, let's not put everybody in oh, let's just throw it out there, because people are going to think in their brain, oh, that's the way it was, or that's the way it all happened. But look, I saw that.
Is
And
that
then,
necessarily a bad thing? Like, say, granted, children shouldn't be watching The Great because of not due to race or anything like that, but because of the sex, the violence, the cussing, and everything else. But is it wrong to have more viewers seeing themselves represented in those characters in that part in history that they haven't in the past because they've been told you didn't exist or you weren't there?
right? Oh yeah, I'm all
I
about.
don't think it's wrong.
I actually think it's great that things are becoming a more diverse. I don't like it when it feels a little sandwiched in sometimes.
Right.
I look at the movie. I remember watching the new Craft movie.
I
Craft,
never watched that.
don't. It's the worst.
Whoa, that one in Heather's, I don't want to touch.
Yeah, and it's
Leave it
like one of
alone.
the characters is I think I only saw it once. I was very angry. So, and one girl, I think she was walking and she's like, "Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm trans." No one does that.
No.
Like that's not organic. That's not to me. That's not inclusion. To me, that's more like, oh, we need to throw that in there so people know. It'd be more inclusive to cast a trans actress and not have to have her make a proclamation about it. Just have
Right.
a character, right? That's
It's
interesting to me.
right. And I mean,
I
there's plenty, not plenty. There's more representation now than there has ever been in the past.
100%.
And even I want to say the last Downton Abbey movie, there were a lot of complaints because there was a gay kiss. And my response to that was, how many straight kisses are there?
A lot.
And it's a kiss.
And there are plenty of gay people in that era. You know what I mean? Like
People on the whole spectrum have existed throughout history.
our history.
It's, I want to say some religions have terms for male, female, other.
Yeah. Well, especially the
Right.
um, the Hawaiian heritage. I could be incorrect, so don't quote me on it. But they actually have there's a term for it, and it's called like it's almost like it's a natural evolution. It's almost like a eunuch, and they're there and they help the family, and they're not. It's like asexual, non-sexual,
And
and I forgot what it was, but
even
it does
Judaism has a third gender.
right.
And that, I mean, if there's
Really is interesting
hundreds,
when you start breaking it all down. You're like,
it
ooh,
is.
this stuff is fascinating to me.
So it's just, I appreciate the time that we're in, that, movies and shows are starting to break away from just the white man and woman. And
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
granted, we really, and I know you write movies, so bless, and don't get mad at me for this. We really need to see women written by women, not men.
My women characters are very good. FYI,
Well, if you ever let me read it, I would know this, but we're not
I
going
have
there
no
right
problem sending it over. I would say I 100% agree with you. I do think I do think that a lot of male writers put women in a box. I think it's and also it's a little interesting. I wrote a script. It's all female, and I turned it into a pilot because it works better as a pilot.
now. Mhm.
I was really breaking it down, and I'm like, what's really interesting, and it was me kind of like as a gay male saying, oh, this was like my love story to women because I love women,
Right.
and you know what, this was kind of fun, and it literally is like that. When I wrote all the characters, I was like, these are all like the fun archetypes, but giving them layers, and it worked really well, and especially when you look at it from that perspective.
Because I mean, there's movies, like there's one that's just coming out today because we record on Fridays, that new ambulance movie.
Oh Jesus!
Okay. So my review is going live tonight for that, but it is the most Michael Bay of Michael Bay movies. Okay. It is so drenched in testosterone. And the women in this movie, the EMT that is as tough as nails woman, she is choked, she is smacked, she is held at gunpoint. And at the end of the movie, it saves her. She can feel emotions again. No,
Are you kidding?
no, that's not the stupidest part of the movie. Okay.
Well, the whole movie looked like a ridiculous.
And it's over 2 hours, 20 minutes. Okay.
Oh my God!
I have watched 8 movies this week. My eyes are sore from watching movies constantly. And 4 of them were in theaters.
Wow.
And yeah, and that one was so stinking long, but she was one of 3 main women characters. One of them, you can't remember her name. One's the wife that forgives her husband for all the stuff. They're just there to move it along. But I'm sorry, if I am being held at gunpoint, almost killed multiple times, all of this other stuff, I don't get saved. It might be a life-changing experience, but I need therapy.
I understand.
I need processing. And that is a guy going, oh, now she can feel again. No,
No.
no, she's a human being. Women are humans, despite what some people think. You know,
It is really interesting how people, how some writers, when you watch a film, don't understand
right.
that and you can tell, you can 100% tell. I mean, look at, I think we discussed Suicide Squad
Mhm.
when you watch Birds of Prey, which I love.
I
I
love Birds of
thought
Prey.
that was
Absolutely.
the best depiction of,
Fantastic.
Harley Quinn that Margot Robbie was ever given the opportunity to do. And I'll tell you, that last Suicide Squad movie, she looked fucking miserable. And I don't know if it was
She
I
didn't
don't
stay in
know.
her character. And if I'm not mistaken, for Birds of Prey, she fought to have that made. She had a woman director. She
Yeah,
fought on the script to make things a certain way. And then after that, Suicide Squad and everything else, her character, if you watch, her outfits change so they're more revealing, just like Wonder Woman. When a guy takes over, that skirt gets shorter.
right.
And it's just like these small little nuances. And I understand women in comic books are always sexualized, whatever. But the fight scene in Birds of Prey and the small little details, that is a woman that took control of that movie.
It's
And I
great. And
know it bombed. It also came out right before the pandemic, and everything from that period sucked.
it was unfortunate. And I don't know what it was and why it bombed. I really don't. It's kind of an interesting thing.
The guys didn't like it. If you go like on Reddit and look at reviews of it, men tear that movie up. It wasn't made for them.
No, it wasn't. That is a thing. It was not made for men. It was made for women.
Yeah,
Because even the ensemble they put together, like a little group, they weren't the traditional little group of women
right.
that would go out. It was actually Rosie Perez's character was kind of unlikable.
Yeah,
None of the characters were super likable in terms of that little group. You're like, they kind of at the end, but that was done on purpose. They
right.
made them all with a very complex kind
They're all
of.
very flawed.
They're very flawed, and it wasn't the most fun character was Harley Quinn,
But
and
it
she
was her story.
was her story. So it was kind of an interesting twist. Like usually the supporting characters are more of the fun quirkiness, and they made that and they flipped the script a little bit. And they made the lead that way, and the other characters these kind of more of an intense backstory and did that little thing. I kind of liked it.
That actually makes me wonder because somebody said for the new Batman movie, the reason it was so dark is because it was from his perspective. So everything was so dark, and then Birds of Prey was so bright and poppy because it was from Harley's perspective.
Right.
The same city. Okay, so is it all these
Different
women?
universe, though. If I
Same? No, they're both DC. Same.
oh DC, but I thought that Batman wasn't within
I don't
this.
know. I don't know if Pattinson's in his own sparkly vampire universe. I don't know.
That was Affleck Batman. I think that
Yes,
Batman is
but
like the Joker of Joaquin Phoenix is his own thing.
if they go and they
Confused
continue
and
on,
Carnage.
they can't recast Harley at this point. Nobody else is going to do. I mean, she is just like spot on. So she's
I
going to,
I have a feeling. I just have a I
but
don't I don't know. I have a
it's. I'm just kind of curious if those other characters were unlikable and dull because those were from her perspective. If we look at it through that lens,
and it could be. I'm not saying they're all unlikable. What's her name? Oh my God, blanking. I'm gonna say Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio. That was Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Her character had a little bit, but
right?
Zoe Kravitz. It's oh my God, it's Secret Face. The other,
I think podcasts are audible. Are you talking Journey Smollett?
yes, thank you.
Yep.
Jesse's sister.
Yes.
Uh, they were just a little drier, I guess. I'm not saying they're unlikable. I'm gonna say they're more dry.
They weren't. They didn't have the pop that Harley did.
Not the pop. And I don't think it was interesting. So I don't think that it did. It didn't help the ensemble of characters. I didn't. It didn't matter to me though, because I
Right.
wasn't watching it for the ensemble. I was watching it for her, and I kind of liked that ensemble. But the end, I think, when they all kind of came together, it would have been a little more powerful if they were a little more gelled in that way and a little more fun. I
Right.
think they did it on purpose, and I think that was kind of an interesting choice.
Right.
They made that like a drama, and they made Harley Quinn like, fireworks are exploding in her brain and she's just doing her thing. I just loved it. I loved the beginning. I loved the thing about the sandwich. I loved I just thought that they did such a, that was the only time I thought they really got that character.
Right.
Everything else kind of,
Yeah. And I honestly don't know who they could put as her if they were to try to recast her at this point. I
they
think
will.
they won't, because I think she is so iconically her right now. Like Batman, how many Batmans have we had and whatever? And I understand Harley Quinn didn't come to be until the cartoon in the 90s. So nobody
Right.
come at us for that. But it
Well,
just,
Batman, okay, so Batman can pretty much, I am Batman. I mean,
I am Batman with a good jaw. That's it.
I mean,
That's all you need.
it's a complex character in some level where you have to have, and I didn't see the new Batman with Robert Pattinson. I've heard the complaints that he did not differentiate between Bruce Wayne and Batman enough. That could have been the direction. I don't know, because they're going
Right.
more kind of look. But my friends were saying they didn't know if they liked it or they didn't like it, and they ended up not liking it because it was too one note throughout the film.
And it's too flippin' long.
To flip them off. But it's interesting. I do feel like that is really interesting. If you look at something when you have a female, and then you look at something called Steel Magnolias, okay, let's look at that for a second. One of the best female ensembles of all time, by a man.
Right.
All those characters were so rich, such brilliant backstory, and he wrote it for his sister because he felt like, and he wrote the play,
Right.
in the screenplay, Steel Magnolias, and he wrote it for his sister because his sister passed away like Shelby did. Spoiler alert. And he said that he wanted her son to know what an amazing woman she was.
Right.
Because he would never have to meet her. And look how wonderful that was. So
But
I think it's the mind. I think it's a creative mind. And I think there are people who are writers, and I think there are also people who write.
correct.
And I think there's two different things. I think
I
the
mean-
people who are writers can go, oh, and they put their brain into that mindset of the character, no matter what gender, because it really doesn't matter. It's like it's the person, how that person would react.
Yes. I mean, I
Maybe,
watched
you know-
another love story type movie this week, and it's just like some of this shit.
Oh.
Like this was written by a dude, because women won't do that. I can tell you,
Mm-hmm.
women are not going to. First of all, she's a housemaid sleeping with some great lord's son
Okay.
and left in a manor house walking around naked.
Well,
No.
who does?
First of all, no. Second of all, you could be jailed and everything else and lose the tiny bit that you have. A woman is not going to do this, especially in the 1920s.
Right. Let's get.
So, so I think, I am happy that right now we are seeing a lot more inclusion.
Yes.
I am happy that we are seeing, some things that were taboo in the past, and even like talking about neurodivergency in shows. Like, have you seen the show Atypical?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my
That
list.
is so damn good. And it's about a kid, I think he's autistic. It's 4 seasons. It is so good. So good.
Interesting. Well, and to clarify, I just want to make sure, my perspective was clear if I, tend to ramble. But like when it comes to the historical diversity, I just want people to know the real story. Because I feel a lot of times with historical pieces, if we don't know the real story, then we are apt to repeat it.
Yes.
I feel like if people think, oh, look, we see all of this and this is the way it was, we have to know the real story as well, because we don't want to repeat it and go back.
Now,
And
we also have to take,
like where we have horrible stuff like World Wars and the Holocaust, all these horrible, horrible things. We just have to be very careful, I think, as a society, to go, look, we don't want to go back, because we forget that these things and the reality of these things and how horrible they were. That's just my whole point.
there, I mean, everything in The Great, like it even says,
I love this show, which is ironic. I love The Great. I think
well, no, and I absolutely love these historical shows. Like, I love The Tudors, even though, I mean, I used to teach architectural history and interior history, and I would tell my students, you can get an idea, but he had 2 sisters. They squished it into one character because they didn't want to pay for a second one. And like, I like Rain. I love that show. It's so stupid. I also know that the music in the background, similar to Bridgerton, was not modern music that was switched over. So if these shows can get people interested in the historical stuff and they can inspire people to research, all for it.
Yeah, and I agree. I just,
It's entertainment.
you know,
We got to take it with a grain of salt.
yeah, I
Now,
know how people react. They're like, they think the mafia is the Godfather, or
no,
they think, but that's how people think sometimes. I think
I got a story on that, but that's a personal, we'll talk later story.
we just need to be careful with society. It's like, ugh. But
Right.
that's fine. So, question for you: you
Yes.
watched the Oscars?
I did not.
Oh,
Okay, so I will tell you, I hate award shows. I've never tuned in, but because we did our predictions, I was updating the thing because I wanted to see who won. And I mean, we took part with the voting locally back in December.
right.
I wanted to see how close we were. So obviously there was the one major moment that overshadowed all of the good that happened.
Yeah, and look, wow. And today it announced that Will Smith is not allowed to do anything with the Oscars for 10 years.
So does that, okay, so being in
I think
LA,
that's kind of bullshit, to be quite frank. But
well, I mean, he already stepped down from the Academy.
I
So
think I think it's too light of a sentence. I think
well,
I like Will Smith. Okay, let's put it that way.
I did.
Clearly, he's got anger management issues.
He's got
Clearly,
something going on.
he has a lot of stuff going on, and the boy needs some therapy. But the whole thing, I think why it was so shocking, like people still talk about it, we're not actually used to seeing really unscripted, like spur of the moment things. Like
Decisions
we're
like
not, everything is programmed to the 10th, even reality shows, which are not reality.
But so here's the problem I have though.
It was literally, wow.
Okay, so the joke, granted, it was on brand for Chris Rock, so that didn't shock me.
No.
But that joke had to have been approved for him to use it.
I had a debate about my friend. I don't know. And they haven't really come out and said.
And also, if he's banned from the events for 10 years and he has stepped down, and I know he's losing contract after contract for movies right now, does that make him unemployable? Because who's going to want to put him in a movie if he's not like the big name can't win the award?
Well, I mean, I Am Legend ain't going to win any award. You know what I'm saying? So there is two different kinds of movies. You could do Men in Black 5 and it's fine. I don't know
Have they done that already?
They try with Chris Hemsworth, but I don't think it means he's unemployable. I don't know if the majority of people are not. I mean, like, there's scandals for everybody to have scandal. This was just he's not going to do an Oscar Awards movie, I think, anytime soon. It doesn't mean he can't get nominated. It means he can't go to the ceremony.
I think one of the things that is horrible is all these years, he's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. This year, he was the frickin' bride.
And he screwed it up.
He ruined it. And yeah.
It's it's too bad. I mean, honestly, it was a great water cooler moment for America and sad at the same time because, that's just something you just shouldn't do. I mean, like, you attacked Chris Rock on stage. I'm not a big Chris Rock fan. I like Will Smith more than Chris Rock. Now I'm like, Will Smith has always been very cool to me over the years. I've met him several times.
Right.
Now, a lot of that's put on. You don't know what people are like behind closed doors, obviously, but
I think I lost respect for him in doing that. And then I gained a little bit for Chris Rock because he took that hit and just kept going.
He was great. He handled it very well.
I mean, I was like, wow, he can take a hit. Okay. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't his first.
Well, I think both behaved kind of badly. I don't know if that joke was off the cuff. The Oscars had never said it was off the cuff or not off the cuff. I think they're saying that on purpose.
Right.
It's on purpose. Like this, I don't think the Oscars wanted to shift blame. He's known for improvising.
Right. Honestly,
I don't know if it was improv or not.
We saw his younger brother several years back, like when we had first started dating. Tony Rock. He was more entertaining, but
Well, and then when Chris Rock gave the award to Questlove,
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, it's Questlove and some white dudes." I'm like, so you kind of shit on these other people who won an Oscar. I'm like,
I mean, that documentary is absolutely amazing, by the way.
I heard I've seen parts of it. I haven't finished it, but yeah, I love documentaries.
So I mean, I think I was more upset. Like, I had a hard time, like, I was scrolling afterwards and updating to see who had won Best Actor, but Jessica Chastain got overshadowed because that just kind of blipped up. Coda got overshadowed.
What a wonderful movie that you haven't seen yet.
No, I still haven't because my eyes are sore.
It's such a wonderful film, and it's so wonderful for deaf actors and actresses all over. It was my favorite movie of the year. It's what I voted for every guild I was a part of, because performance-wise, it was the best. Ensemble-wise, it was the best, and it just touched. It was so touching, and it wasn't because they're deaf actors and actresses in the movie. It was because it was a good movie,
and they did a good job.
These wonderful performers.
Well,
so good.
And and I think I even said when we were talking last time that if he wins, I still thought it deserved to go to other people. I didn't think Will Smith deserved to win it anyhow.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Andrew Garfield.
Right. That performance was much better to me.
100%. But Jessica Chastain, I was very happy that she took it, because it was touch and go. No one really knew.
Right.
Towards the end, you could tell that she had the momentum. But that woman is the nicest person in the entire.
She is.
She's adorable. That performance blew me away, and it was. I mean, I thought Nicole Kidman's great too. Don't get me wrong. That was a very loaded category, with the exception of Kristen Stewart.
No love there from either of us.
Well, that movie was terrible, and she wasn't bad. I don't think she deserved the nomination. I think Emilia Jones from Coda, if Coda had gotten more, she would have gotten that spot. She was astounding. She was revelatory in that performance, like that good. So, and I highly recommend everyone see Coda. It will make you like.
I've only got one, maybe 2 screenings this week, and I don't have any digital ones. So after my eyes rest, I may watch it this week before we record.
But I was happy that all my picks were accurate. I was off by 2. I said cinematography would go to Power of the Dog, and it went to Dune, because Dune pretty much hit the below the line. And then I think on my Oscar ballot, which I won a $50 Amazon gift card. Thank you very much. I was like, woo-hoo.
Now, I will say, and already how I feel about the movie. I am fine with Jane Campion getting Best Director.
Right.
But I am glad that it was locked out of everything else.
Everything else.
I do not think it deserved, what did it have, 12 nominations or something? I don't think it was that good. I know a lot of critics disagree with me, but it just was not that good of a movie that it deserved all those awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that who got the fan pick?
Oh, that was Army of the Dead from Zack Snyder, because they hijacked the award.
Really? I mean, the movie is entertaining.
Well, because Justice League, because the Zack Snyder fans are nuts, and they don't realize that he's a terrible director. But yeah, I'm just saying it. It's true. I liked 300. That was it. Everything else, no, that's not true. I liked Watchmen. I thought he did a really good job with Watchmen. After that.
No, and then there was no way I was watching the
DC movies are so bad.
Yes, and then his re-release of them and his cut, adding an hour and a half or whatever it was. I can't do it. I just can't.
Well, it's not really, and Joss Whedon with his own set of issues, fine, but
yeah,
way more entertaining. His cut, the Zack Snyder cut, was dry. It was boring. All of them, both of them were terrible. But literally, when you have a cut of a movie, when you have Jason Momoa going into the water, a bunch of albinos walk out and start singing, And then someone picked up Jason Momoa's sweater and sniffed his armpit and goes, ah, and they start singing really loud. I would, if I wrote that, I would be banned. My friends would be like throwing pencils at me. Like, that's the it was so awful. So awful. And looked up that it was just like, what the F is happening right now? And that was in the movie. And
But is that one of those where the director has gotten so much clout that they think they can do anything and people won't?
I really,
they're wrong.
It was terrible. You know, it's like there were Joss Whedon's cut. It was terrible. Zack Snyder's cut was terrible. Literally, let it die and restart it.
Right.
You know, because let me tell you, Wonder Woman 84 was terrible.
Yes.
Jenkins. I mean, The Flash, now that Ezra Miller is out there doing rando crap and he's off his Looney Tunes rocker, apparently. Dude, just reboot the whole thing.
Right.
Just stop. I mean, you can keep Cavill. You can keep Zach Levi as Shazam. I'm okay with those.
You know, and Shazam didn't do very well, but I think it's an entertaining movie.
It's all right. I mean,
I like Zachary Levi. I don't mind him.
I don't mind him.
It's
my feeling about Zach Levi as a person. I don't mind him. He's there.
But did you ever watch Chuck?
I didn't like it.
Oh, see, Jason loves that. And we've watched it several times. And it's one of those shows like he puts on other ones over and over. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't. Chuck, I don't care. That one's fine. It's funny. It's goofy. It's stupid.
It's fine. It's there.
Fine.
It can be there. It can go away. It's okay. It's like the color beige. It doesn't bother me being there. If it went away and was something else, it'd be fine too.
That's true.
I really got no opinion. That's Zach Levi.
I mean, there's a lot worse in Hollywood.
Oh, let me tell you. In Hollywood, yes, there is. But then when you say that about a person, it's like, you're beige.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. He was good in Miss Maisel, though, I will say.
Yes.
I have nothing against Zach Levi, FYI. People, I actually kind of like the guy. But Miss Maisel, he was really good. That was actually the best performance I think he did. It was very layered, and I thought he was very good in it.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for his character when he got kind of shit on.
Yeah, she kind of screwed him, but not in a good way.
I know, which is too bad because he was a good guy.
That would have been good for her.
It would have been good for her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Shazam was fine. Again, I don't even remember it. Like I saw it. I thought, oh yeah, that was fine, and I don't need to see it again.
I don't mind that one, and it was one that afterwards, like a friend of mine who's worked with you on a lot of campaigns, he's really into comic books, and I told him afterwards, he's like, do you think my kids can watch it? I said, you need to watch it first because that movie got a lot darker than I expected.
Yeah.
So, so he watched it and he's like, nope, my son is way too young for that. I'm like, yeah, give him some time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, I don't remember the movie. I know the end. I remember him at the lunch table, but I saw it. And it's like beige. It just.
But at the same time, how many movies do you watch a year? If you're like me,
I watch a lot of stuff.
You watch a lot of stuff. And it's so funny because, and I've even mentioned several times, my eyes are sore from staring at screens all week.
Yeah.
I got an email for a series that's dropping on Hulu in 3 weeks. And I just went, ooh, I want to watch that. And I'm like, no, we're taking the weekend off. I need to not watch. It's a true crime one. So I'm really interested. But I'm like, I need to not stare at a screen and focus on it constantly.
Well, that's because you're a member of the Detroit Film Critics Society. You're just all the baller. You're like, bitch, I'm in the fucking Detroit Film Critics Society. Who am I? I'm the fixel. I'm the fixel, you fuckers. That's what you're saying.
I'm getting random indie film people reach out now and ask me to review their stuff.
Right.
And one of them reached out today and said, I loved your review of whatever movie it was. And, and I tore that movie up. But then they asked me to review theirs. And I was like, did you really read it? Yeah. And, because I called the movie out because it falls into all these horror movie tropes. And I'm just like, and then they mentioned, Huh?
What new swag have you got?
I got Sonic 2 stuff today. I got little plushies and a little towel and stuff. I got an ambulance hat and shirt. I have something coming this weekend for the new DreamWorks, The Bad Guys.
The bad guys.
Yeah, it's an animated cartoon. I don't know. I try not to watch trailers because most of them give away the whole damn movie. So, and sometimes going into movies, like I did with Ready or Not and had no idea what I was getting into,
Right.
that was worth the ride.
Right.
You know, I got a Downton Abbey official cookbook with an apron for the new one, and that came from the publisher, not from the movies. That's about it recently, I think. So,
Nothing from Lost City.
yeah, I got Lost City. I got cups. I got a cheese board, sunscreen, which I have here, the sunscreens, which has 2 layers of sunscreen, 2 different types in it. And these little door pull things, like the don't touch the cootie door pull things that came out for COVID, which I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So yeah, I got that.
Let me know.
Huh?
When you're done with that cheese board, let me know.
That one's too cool. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I know.
I try.
You try. You have my address. You just have to fly, what, 2,500 miles to get stuff.
And well, eventually you'll be here for a visit.
Eventually. But that cheese board will not be in my bag. Although I don't know how long until I'll be flying again, because what now, it's, even though COVID's still going, it's safe to fly without a mask.
I just ride the wave, man.
I'm just like, I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit more, work on my gardens. I don't know what else to freaking do, you know.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, there's nothing. It's funny because it really is still the box office is still like there's nothing out.
Well, no, and that's the thing. Like when you said there's Oscar predictions already for 2023 and 8 movies, 2 of them were solid meh.
Yeah.
That's the best I can give you.
They're just looking at the whole year of what's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's coming this time. I was like, literally got it. I was like, really?
You
Wow.
can predict all you want, but until it actually gets to critics and everybody,
Well, that's the truth. Like, look at Steven Spielberg. Oh, the BFG was supposed to be Oscar favorite, and then people saw it and they're like, oh no.
And I personally, okay, so I was writing reviews. I wasn't an official critic at the time, but I liked the BFG, but I love that book. I grew up, it was one of my favorite books. So for me, seeing it come to life had something. But then if you even look at, they were predicting he'd win big for West Side Story.
Right.
They did get one for supporting actress.
Yeah, that was it.
But
that.
I don't think it deserved more than that.
I know.
So yeah, it's interesting because like everything coming out now is all just kind of blah. And seeing so many, like there's one coming out on Amazon tonight. All the Old Knives. Sandy Newton, Chris Pine, and it's an espionage.
Oh yeah, I heard of it.
Okay, so if you watch the trailer, he reminds me so much of Dermot Mulroney that I was like, I'm having major issues watching this. And then it was so slow. And there's at least one guy in our group that he, like, his reviews always are the exact opposite of mine. He is so energetic. He thought it was such a great film. And I'm just like, I know I'm not that far off. And it's kind of like Ambulance. People were either they loved it or hated it. That was it. And with The Northman, people loved it or hated it.
I'm excited to see Northman, actually. I love Vikings, though. So, and it has Alexander Skarsgård, who I love. And
there is what I was looking forward to. There was a quote I saw that there was naked sword fighting on a mountain.
Done.
It's naked sword fighting on a volcano. Thank you very much. And it wasn't for me, but I can't say that it was a bad movie. So it's interesting.
Good.
What's that?
How was Nicole Kidman?
She was okay.
I was Alexander Skarsgård.
I mean, I kind of thought through most of it because, and he's done this in other roles too, but he's kind of hunched over, like he almost did like he was in Tarzan. He was hunched over and kind of brutish,
Yeah.
and I was just like, does your back not hurt? Like,
He's a very tall guy. He's at my height.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
is muscly man, and he's
Yeah.
hunched over, and he's doing this stuff, and he's doing manual labor, and I'm just like, at some point that has got to hurt your back and neck, though, and I know that that was the character and all that. I just don't know that it was almost like watching, and a friend of mine goes, did we just watch The Lion King with Vikings? And I said, well, I was thinking Hamlet, and that's essentially what the story is. So, if you get past that stuff, it was a little slow for me. And again, 2 hours, 16 minutes.
A long movie.
Everything's a long freaking movie. Sonic is over 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. I think that one's like 202, but it's a kid's movie.
And usually they're an hour and a half.
Which is perfect. And yeah, no. So I don't know. It's just kind of getting to the point that it's getting a little too long in the tooth for some of these movies. They could have cut so much out of Sonic and made it worth it.
It's too bad.
And that one, I mean, they geared that one more towards kids, not just Sonic fans.
Clearly.
But I mean, the first one still had enough Easter eggs for fans that they felt happy with it.
Right.
This one, I think, lost that. It lost that little bit of glimmer and magic that I had.
Oh, that sucks.
So, whatever. What can you do?
I think it's an interesting conversation for next week when we talk about runtimes and films and how it's changed. And is it positive or negative in some levels? Because sometimes too much time can ruin a film.
And honestly, just one little note on that. One little note on the runtimes. Those runtimes have come after everybody's so used to pausing movies at home. Our bladders are not up for this.
Yeah.
It's just not. So.
Wow. And that's what the Fixel says. And that's what we're going to say from now on. That's what the Fixel says.
Bless Mike.
That's what the Fixel says. That's what the Fixel says.
And you want honey, I bet, huh?
What?
And you're going to want honey, I bet, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
On that note, we will thank you guys all for joining us at Unpaid Movie Critics. I'm Mike. That's what the Fixel says. What the Fixel says. What the Fixel says.
Michael.
We will see you next week, New Zealand.
All right. We'll see you then. Bye.